Thank you very much for coming out to this event. I know we're drinking some lovely wines. Please don't drink the wines that were just poured for you, because we'll run through those just at the end and talk through them. I do want to talk about fine wine, and I do want to talk about investing in wine, but I also want to talk about women in wine, which seems to be an ongoing theme. And importantly, tonight, just sort of give you some tips that I usually use when I'm going through the wine list, talk a little bit about ways that you can think about how you buy your wine and how you taste your wine, and just give you some perspective on what's happening in the greater world of investing in wine and the industry itself. So the overall revenue in the wine market is around $200 billion. In the United States in particular, it's been growing very rapidly. Since 2000, it's up about 37%. And if you look at the chart on the bottom right, you'll see that there are really only 3 countries in the world that have been upticking in terms of their growth rate. That's the United States, China, and Russia. So we really are an emerging market, which may sound a little counterintuitive, but we are. The US has the second lowest per capita consumption of wine, and there are just structural imbalances that make this market one that is really clamoring for better wines, not just sort of the average wine that you'd find at kind of the $5 to $10 price point. So we think there's some great opportunity for imports, and we know that consumption is being led by us as the most developed market of the 3 so far. %70 of all wine sales in the US are made by women. As a demographic, over 55% of the wine drinkers are women, and there are 100 million wine drinkers in the United States. In the world of journalism, there are pretty much 3 axes. There is Decanter magazine, there's Wine Spectator, and there's Wine Enthusiast. 80% of their demographic are men, and that's who they market to, and that's who seems to read their magazines. So that to me is very thought-provoking. If you look at these charts, I'm not sure how well you can see them, but this focuses on high-frequency drinkers, which means that you have a glass of wine more than once, maybe more than twice. And it also focuses on high-end. So this will show you that the millennials are 24% of the high-frequency drinkers, but they're more importantly 55% of the high-end. And high-end wine means greater than $20 a bottle. And if we look at the change in alcohol consumption just over the last year, and this is the Wine Market Council's report, just came out in January, 29 basis points to wine versus any other alcohol out there. So combine those 2 charts with these statistics, and you see that there's really some impact that women can have in this space. As far as high frequency drinkers go, it's split between men and women 50-50. And if you look at laying on top of that the high-end side of the equation, there's clearly an influence that can be had. I feel very strongly that we should all be treated equally in the world of wine. But for whatever reason, the world of marketing has decided that these terms for wine are what are going to attract us. It's not just the label, but it is names like Skinny Girl, Smarty Pants, Rebel Red, Drama Queen, Be Flirty, Bright, Fresh, and to round it all out, a lovely $10 Riesling called Relax. So to my mind, wine really starts with geography. Geography 101, full stop. So when we're looking at the wine list, think, is it hot? Is it cold? Where am I? What do I want to get out of that? And regardless of what the varietal is, if you just think about the geography, you can usually get to a place that you want to be. I can't emphasize enough the high margins that come in Italian wines. There are a lot of Italian wines, and not many good ones, really good ones. There are a lot of so-so, but the margins in Italian wines are very high. So I'm just saying it probably doesn't need to be your go-to wine for a variety of different reasons. And the value regions, the regions that I love, the wines are really interesting. They're inexpensive, they're approachable, and they just take you to that place in a way, and you don't really see these wines that much in the US. The Jura, the Languedoc, Spain, of course, Southern Italy, which is really making some great wines right now. My little find, I'm sure some of you have had a wine called Ravines, which is from the Finger Lakes in New York. There is just some stunning wines coming out of there right now. Paul Hobbs, who makes a great wine on the West Coast, has now bought some. He's actually from upstate New York, but he's now going to make a Riesling that will probably rival some of the best German and Austrian wines out there. Argentina, of course, Austria, some really interesting wines coming out of there right now. Ontario, I've had some great wines. The southwest of France, the Savoie and the Rhone, just regions that, to my mind, you're just going to have an overall better experience if you choose to go there, if you can find these on the list or in your store. I hope that you've enjoyed tonight. I hope that everyone has learned something. I had a lot to discuss. I normally have a lot to discuss when it comes to wine, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions, and there is a lot of wine to drink, so please enjoy yourself, and I hope that we can connect through the networking.